It is physically, utterly impossible to murder someone inside a home that is completely sealed from the inside. And yet, in the freezing, dark winter of 1929, someone did. New York City, 1929. The streets are bleeding with crime, but nothing, absolutely nothing, compares to what happened on East 133rd Street. The heavy iron door was bolted securely from within. The windows were nailed down into their wooden frames with thick iron spikes. There were no secret passages, no hidden trap doors, and absolutely no weapon left behind on the floor. Yet, 3 devastating bullets were found buried deep inside the warm body of Isidore Fink. If the killer could not escape, where did they go? Welcome back to Shan's Cases Files. Let us open the folder. To truly understand this mind-bending puzzle, we have to meet the victim. Isidore Fink was a 30-year-old Polish immigrant living in the very heart of New York City. He ran a small, quiet laundry business. But Isidore was not an ordinary businessman. He lived in a constant, consuming state of absolute terror and paranoia. He did not trust the dark streets of New York. He did not trust his clients. He did not even trust his neighbors. In fact, he turned his entire apartment and laundry room into an unbreachable, ironclad vault. He had heavy, massive iron bolts installed on the main door. He literally nailed his windows shut so they could never, ever be pried open from the outside. If you wanted your clothes washed, you did not even enter his shop. He would only speak to you through a tiny, narrow transom window above the doorframe. He felt perfectly safe. He thought he had locked the world out until the horrifying night of November 4th, 1929. It is just after 10 p.m. Isidore is working late, alone in the shadows, sorting linen. Suddenly, his neighbors hear the muffled, desperate sounds of a violent struggle coming through the walls. Then, 2 piercing gunshots echo through the hallway. Screams slice through the night. And then, complete, dead silence. The terrified neighbors sprint out into the hallway and scream for the police. Within minutes, New York City Police Department patrolmen arrive at the scene. They lunged at the door to burst inside, but it would not budge. They threw their entire weight against the wood, but it did not even groan. Why? Because the heavy iron bolt on the other side was completely, securely thrown into place. The windows were completely out of the question. They were still tightly nailed shut from the inside with iron spikes. Desperate to get inside, a frantic police officer finds a small neighborhood boy. They hoist him up, pushing him through the tiny, narrow transom window above the door. The opening is incredibly small, barely wide enough for a child to squeeze through. The boy crawls through the pitch-black gap, drops down into the dark room, and slowly unbolts the massive iron door from the inside. What the police stepped into defied reality itself. Isidore Fink was lying on his back. He had been shot twice in the chest, and once cleanly through his left hand. The wounds were fresh. His body was still warm. But as detectives searched every single corner, under the tables, inside the closets, and behind the heavy laundry presses, they realized something utterly terrifying. There was no gun. There was no hidden assassin. There was absolutely no one else in that room. How do you murder a man in an unbreachable room and vanish into thin air? The New York Police Department, completely humiliated and baffled by the case, put their absolute best detectives on the file. They came up with 3 distinct theories. And this is where the story gets truly bizarre. Theory number 1 is the window shot. Did the killer shoot him from the outside hallway, firing through the tiny transom window? It sounds logical, right? But the forensic medical examiner immediately shattered this idea. The gunpowder burns on Isidore's clothing proved that the weapon was fired from mere inches away. He was executed at point-blank range, inside the room. Furthermore, his hands had severe defensive wounds. He was actively fighting his killer face to face. That led to theory number 2, the child assassin. Did a ruthless killer employ a tiny, agile child or a small gymnast to squeeze through that narrow transom window, execute Fink, and crawl back out? But think about the logistics. A chaotic, loud, terrifying gunfight is happening. A grown, paranoid man is fighting desperately for his life. Yet, a small child somehow manages to overpower him, shoot him 3 times, and calmly climb back out of a high window without leaving a single drop of blood or a footprint. It was completely absurd. The police were left with a terrifying, impossible conclusion. If the killer was a normal-sized adult, they could not have escaped through the window, and they could not have walked out the door because the door was heavily bolted from the inside. To this day, the New York Police Department has this case listed as an absolute unexplainable anomaly. Some crime historians believe the killer shot Fink, stepped outside, and locked the door from the hallway using a hidden string or wire fed through the transom window. But detectives tested this exact theory on the actual lock, and the heavy, stiff iron bolt required far too much physical pressure to be thrown by a mere string. Isidore Fink built a fortress to keep the monsters out. But on that freezing November night, the monster did not need a doorway to get in. What is your theory? Did the New York Police Department miss a hidden trap door? Or did something unexplainable happen in that laundry room? Drop your thoughts in the comments below. I am reading and hearting the most brilliant theories. The truth is always buried somewhere deep in the files.